How can Zürich respond to a difficult first half then? How can Arsenal look to potentially pile on the goals against them? Arsenal, of course, needed a win to top the group and are extremely well placed to get that. Indeed, if they didn't, it would be a massive shock. Nicely worked by Arsenal. Catley linking up with Ford. Now Valti. Blackstenius on the turn, dispossessed. First touch it's coming on for Sarina Pubel. Raffaelli's there. Raffaelli loses out though. Good persistence from Reason. Gets Zürich the throw. Can Zürich get something for their supporters to celebrate? You've backed them so magnificently tonight. Arsenal's record away win in Europe is 9-0 victory against PAOK in 2009. Still got quite a long way to get to that point. 9-0 indeed, also Zürich's worst European defeat. Here's Blackstenius. On for Williamson, who almost got there. Leah Williamson taking her time to really enjoy roaming forward into a right wing role tonight, and that's what you can do when you have so many positionally flexible and tactically aware players around her. As here's Williamson again winning it back. He's trying to roll it through for Ford. Ford. Leonardson Mornham on a hat-trick. Unselfish though. McCabe cutting in. Losing out that time. Katie McCabe still chasing a Champions League goal for Arsenal. Last scored in the competition in 2014 for Raheny United, where she came through, and also talked about her journey coming out when she was at Raheny. A group chat there that was very supportive. Talking to her parents about it over dinner. Did a YouTube interview that's well worth watching. My life as an elite LGBTQ+ athlete. Katie McCabe, of course, whose partner Rusha Littlejohn is quite the player in her own right, and they're quite the combination too. McCabe having quite a tendency to score goals when playing against Littlejohn's teams. Indeed, McCabe was on the target once more in Arsenal's 4-1 win at Aston Villa 10 days ago. Her first Arsenal goal since March. Leading her partner Littlejohn, who wasn't playing, was out injured, to jokingly say, "She always scores against my teams, it's very annoying." But she had a good game, and yeah, of course, she scored again. Great to see such open LGBTQ+ visibility, and as a member of that community myself, it's very welcome to have a space where all are welcomed. Here's Ford. Linking up nicely. Ford might shoot, does shoot, and gets it all wrong for once, Caitlin Ford, who already has a goal to her name tonight. Home fans continuing to urge Zürich on, whose worst Champions League defeat was a 9-0 loss against Lyon in the 2016-17 season. Still a long, long way from that kind of region. Arsenal again winning it back high up the pitch. It's been a trademark of life under Edeval. Williamson back for Valti, who might shoot. Shimmying forward, Valti. Now Catley. Catley's ball in, missed by everybody, and then over the bar from McCabe, who, given the world she is capable of scoring on her left foot, would probably have expected better of herself there, even having to take it first time as she decided to. Arsenal winning 7-2 when these sides met back in October 2008 in a qualification group fixture under the legendary Arsenal boss Vic Akers. Gemma Davison had Arsenal in front. Ramona Lindemann equalised. Kelly Smith, another Arsenal legend, made it 2-1. Then Kim Little scored a couple. Jane Ludlow scored 2. There was a Niamh Fahy own goal before. Little got a hat-trick as Leonardson Mornham picks out the top corner. That's the best of the bunch. A hat-trick for Frida Leonardson Mornham. And saves her best till last in the treble. 5-star Arsenal have 5. 5-star Mornham has a hat-trick. They gave us so much space, but even so, magnificent from Mornham. Zürich just can't live with Frida Leonardson Mornham tonight. Well, she scored in the win at Lyon, where she really was incredible, as here come Arsenal once more, blazed over the bar. And tonight she's been the star of the show again. Catley, what is arguably slightly disrespectful to refer to Frida Leonardson Mornham having a breakthrough season, but in terms of really asserting herself right at the very top level, feels like we might be watching her do just that in terms of taking her game to yet another place this season in terms of her consistency. It's 8 goals in her last 12 games. She does so much more than score, though, of course, in that 8 or 10 role. It is a Mornham masterclass, you might say. Frida Leonardson Mornham very much putting her stamp all over this game. 3 goals and an assist. There's a lot of time for Arsenal to rub more pain in for Zürich. Ford, who has lots of room and lots of options. Still Ford, eventually cut out. Valti trying to use her snake hips to wriggle out of another pressing duel. Arsenal in the mood for more. Strike on the turn, and they have more. Arsenal have a 6th. A special strike from Stina Blackstenius. The goals just keep piling up here in Schaffhausen. Scoreless in 6 before tonight, but now at the double. The first might have been a tap-in. This was anything but. Turns, spins, and strikes. One to remember from Stina Blackstenius. And tonight just keeps getting better and better and better for Arsenal. Well, it's not quite blink and you've missed a goal, but it's not a million miles from that at times tonight. Ever since Arsenal have got their first, it is in real danger of fast becoming something of an avalanche. Arsenal chasing a 7th now. Blackstenius on a hat-trick, shimmying inside. Blackstenius. Arsenal have to settle for a corner. Stina Blackstenius's recent goal record somewhat matching an old joke about the buses in North London. You wait for a while for one and then two come at once. Scoreless in 6 before tonight, and almost had a third there. Speaking of third change for FC Zurich. Now Pilgrim goes off. Pilgrim, who is replaced by Vanessa Bernauer. It's a somewhat defensive-minded change, which reflects Zurich's mentality right now. McCabe. McCabe just floats one up. It's only headed half away. Now Ford. Williamson thought of shooting, instead finds Ford. Lots of space out here for Ford. He's slightly loose touch, gives Zurich the ball back. Jonas Eidevall with his eye on more goals. He's in a conversation with the 4th official, Rasa Grigone. Not entirely sure exactly what it's about. Eidevall, who certainly by his own admission is a very passionate coach. Shows that on the touchline. Maritz trying to tee one up. One in there by Hubinger, the substitute. Now Zurich will try and build something. Cleared slightly aimlessly by Zurich. Well, Arsenal won't need to worry about what's going on elsewhere. Of course, remember, you can double screen to keep an eye on Lyon versus Juve, which is tantalisingly poised, 0-0 there in the battle to see who will join Arsenal, who I think we can say with absolute certainty are going to win this group by virtue of winning this game. Williamson trying to get it away. Now Leonard St. Mornan with another chance to get the afterburners on, running through the centre. Stop that time. Not been able to say that often tonight. Zurich trying to play their way out. But once they've managed that from the initial line of pressing for reason, Falti can't quite get onto it as Hubinger helps it on. Ford was in there sliding. Ends up at the feet of Catley. Will be interesting to see how Arsenal use their bench. So here's Blackstenius on a hat-trick. She definitely won't want to come off, has options. Blackstenius goes for goal and drags it wide. Wasn't the easiest angle to score from. Wide from Stina Blackstenius, who's got a totally unique surname. Nobody else in the world has it, which is not something you or I'd imagine, or most people can say. Leonard St. Mornan, beautiful ball for Ford. It's Ford, stopped by Romero. Leonard St. Mornan nearly with a second assist to go with her 3 goals tonight. Ford just couldn't quite squeeze it in. It's been a happy return to Zurich for Noel Maritz, who of course played for the club from 2011 through to 2013, keeping Laura Wienreuter out of the side tonight. Wienreuter, who's been an excellent addition for Arsenal since joining in January, and it is set to be another busy January transfer window for Arsenal. Have reportedly already signed the Ajax forward Victoria Pelova, albeit Jona Seidevel was tight-lipped about that at the press conference. Would continue a run of players being signed by Arsenal from teams they play in the Champions League. Kayla Marquise joining from Kurga after impressing against Arsenal last season, and Wienreuter playing against Arsenal for Hoffenheim. There's also links with the North Carolina Courage and Brazilian forward Debina. Jona Seidevel tight-lipped in terms of individuals, but open about the fact it's an important window for them, as here comes Williamson. Leonardson Mornham. Ford. Now Catley. Catley crosses and headed over the bar by Williamson. Well, they might be piling up the goals, but they're certainly not losing their intent to find more of them, Arsenal. Don't seem in any mood to settle whatsoever. Lina Hurtig comes on. Summer signing from Juventus. And Stina Blackstenius will have to settle for 2 goals tonight. She'll be delighted with that, though, I'm sure. Hadn't scored in 6 before this evening. And Leah Valti takes a leave as well. And it is a bit of an early Christmas present for Arsenal fans, with Kim Little ready to come on. Gets the captain's armband as well. Lotte Wubben-Moy making way. Williamson, I'd imagine, will drop back into defence. It is a return for Kim Little, who did her MCL against West Ham on the 30th of October, missed 7 straight games. Was back in the matchday squad in the defeat against Lyon, as that's got to be a penalty. It is a penalty. Unfortunate for Leah Williamson, who just slipped, couldn't do anything about it. The 2 players pretty much saying as much as that. Zurich have a spot kick out of pretty much nowhere. Looks like Williamson has got things reasonably well covered, and then slips, and in the process ends up taking out Zerina Pubel. Zurich can get on the board. Manuela Zinsberger does have a good record at saving penalties. She'll try and do the same here to keep a clean sheet. Fabienne Hum to take it. Has scored 4 goals in Champions League qualifying this season. Fabienne Hum, the home captain. It's Hum against Zinsberger. Hum scores a perfect penalty. Zurich have a second group stage goal to celebrate, both against Arsenal. And regardless of it being 6-1, they'll enjoy the moment here in Schaffhausen, and why not? It's been a tough group stage campaign for them against 3 European giants in Lyon, Juventus and Arsenal. Can't argue with that pen from Fabienne Hum. Scored a hat-trick in qualifying against SFK to help Zurich into the group stages. He's had quite a career, the 35-year-old. Used to take unpaid leave to play for the Swiss national team, combining football with her day job. Indeed, Zurich are only part-time. Another change being made by the home side. Olivia Voss, the young Polish centre-back, comes on, a summer signing from Indiana. Comes on for Marion Rai. Well, the way the home fans and players celebrated, you'd have had no way of knowing if the scoreboard wasn't in the top left corner of the screen. That was a goal that made it 6-1. But for Zürich, can't be underestimated what a huge achievement it was. Getting into the group stage. They've never been past the round of 16. It's their 11th straight Champions League season. And their first, back in 2008, 2009, they were in a qualifying group with Arsenal and Lyon. Only missed out on a European campaign in the 2011-12 season. 2009-10 made it to the round of 32 for the first time, losing against Linköping from Sweden. And they've gone out in the round of 16 4 times against Barcelona in 2014, Glasgow City in 2015, Lyon in 2017, and Bayern in 2019. Last winning a Champions League game outside of qualifying in September 2018 when they beat Honka from Finland 5-1 at home. It's been a tough night for them here and a tough group stage. They'll refocus and turn their attention after the winter break back to domestic glory to help them try and get back to this stage next season. And of course, be under a new boss, with this being Inka Grieg's last game tonight. There's reason. That goal has just breathed a little bit of life into Zürich. One back by McCabe. Now Zürich pressing forward again. It's a good cross, but a bit too close to Zinsberger. Free for Ford, the offside flag up. Well, so much has happened, but we are only just moving into the last quarter here. In time for more. Indeed, it could be, as that's a terrible back pass, and Arsenal have a 7th. That is an early Christmas gift from Zürich, and Caitlin Ford takes advantage. Her 2nd, Arsenal 7th. Zürich couldn't really have made that much easier. So Olivia Voss, who's only recently come on, ends up inadvertently assisting Caitlin Ford. He says thank you very much for the Christmas present 4 days early. The Australian has her 2nd. So Arsenal have 7. I mentioned that their biggest Champions League away win was 9-0 back in 2009. Have, of course, conceded, but they're well on place to match that in terms of the margin of victory, potentially. Williamson cuts it out. Now Nobbs. Can only find touch, Jordan Nobbs. Yellow card given out to Inka Grings. Not how she'd have wanted to mark her final game in charge. Lots of space out here for Catley. It's a penalty. Well, it did look for a second like the referee pointed to the spot here. There was a moment of confusion all round as it came off the lower elbow of Voss. So Arsenal with a chance to make it 8-1. Kim Little, who scored a hat-trick against Zürich way back in 2008. The third of those coming from the penalty spot, has a chance to repeat history somewhat 14 years later. Calmly slotted in. Nobody scored more Champions League penalties than Kim Little. Back on the pitch for Arsenal, back in the goals. And that's another lovely early Christmas present for the Arsenal fans. Back from that MCL injury that she got against West Ham in late October. Has a goal to show for her time on the pitch as well. Has barely been on as well. Came on 8 minutes or so ago. Hurtig. Arsenal fans have got a chant to Dancing Queen, referring to Hurtig as their magic Swede. Scored 2 goals in the reverse fixture. Helped it on for Little there, though, who was caught out. Now Zürich can try and build. Williamson with the interception. Very much trademark Leah Williamson. One of those centre-halves that rarely needs to necessarily make tackles or slide in, because she's so well positioned and so able to read the play and anticipate what's likely to come next. Arsenal absolutely rampant here. And they're not exactly lacking time either. Big second half of the season coming up for them. They are 3 points behind WSL leaders Chelsea, who are looking to win the English domestic top flight yet again. But there's been promising signs for Arsenal in the first half of the season. They've had the best defence in the division, conceding just 5. And they play Chelsea on the 15th of January at the Emirates. A big second part of the campaign coming up. They'll face Chelsea twice, Manchester City twice, and Manchester United away from home. Having lost 3-2 at home against Manchester United, their only league defeat so far this season. They've been unbeaten away this season across all competitions, 6 wins and a draw. Adding another W to that tonight, no doubt. Here's Little surging forward. Stopped by the sliding challenge that will bring further punishment. Booking for Vanessa Bernauer. Bernauer, who rejoined in the summer from Roma, where she's been part of what's been quite a story for them in recent seasons as they've built their way on the top stage. Off goes Frida Leonardsen Monum after a hat-trick tonight and a true virtuoso performance in central midfield. And it will be the slightly rare sighting of Mana Iwabuchi getting pitch time for Arsenal this season. That's been some feeling that she may be fitted in terms of her playing style slightly better into Joe Montemurro, the previous boss's way of doing things, as opposed to Jonas Eidefeld. Certainly incredibly talented. World Cup winner with Japan. Here's Ford. Ford's ball across. Goes through pretty much everybody. Again, it has to be said, the home fans have been magnificent, regardless of the scoreboard. 5th and final change tonight for the home side. As Fabian Hum, the goal scorer, comes off, having made it 5 goals in their Champions League campaign this season. And Noah Schertz comes on, the 22-year-old, who's in her first season at Zürich, having previously built her name at Grasshopper. He's never started a Champions League game, but gets the chance to come on here. has got a cap for Switzerland back in 2019, Noah Schurz. Not the easiest situation to come on in, albeit nothing much to lose, somewhat. Arsenal not able to find a way through there. And Zürich with a chance on the counter. Almost ran for Schurz, who's just come on. Williamson in there. And then clipped forward. Overhit by Vanessa Bernauer. Zürich set on the high press as Williamson looks to break. It finds Little, now Raffaelli. Zinsberger. McCabe just trying to get the little flick on. And then Nobbs lost out. And now Zürich can build. Nicely worked down that left flank. Now Williamson gets it away. Iwabuchi. Hurtig. Scored 2 in the reverse fixture. Will fancy a goal here, no doubt. Nicely constructed move this into the path of Pubil. He gets it back. Little 1-2 breaks down. Ford. Still Ford, slightly heavy touch, it still runs for her. Reason. Ball then headed away by Raffaelli. Arsenal winning this competition in 2007, 5 times semi-finalists. In 2003, beaten 8-2 on aggregate against Fortuna Hjørring from Denmark. In 2005, lost out against Djurgården from Sweden. And then we're semi-finalists 3 seasons in a row, from 2011 to 2013, with 2 of their conquerors going on to lift the trophy. Lost 5-2 on aggregate to Lyon in 2011, 4-1 on aggregate to Frankfurt in 2012, and 4-1 against Wolfsburg on aggregate in 2013. Kim Little scoring in the second leg for Arsenal. Of course, scoring tonight for them as well. It was Wolfsburg who took Arsenal out last season in the quarter-finals. Lotte Wubben-Moy with an equaliser at the Emirates late on, before Arsenal lost the second leg. Goals from Jill Roord and a Leah Williamson own goal. Salt in the wounds, of course, from the fact that Roord was once roaming forward for the Gunners. But their group stage campaign has certainly been a lot better. They'll finish with 13 points from 6. Last season they managed 9. 4-1 and 4-0 defeats to Barcelona. 2 wins against Køge and a win and a defeat against Hoffenheim. Losing 4-1 on match day 6 when they only needed to avoid defeat by 4 goals. But it was a pretty nervy way for them to get through. Of course, they will go through now with the benefit of being group winners. So they look to progress on, trying to reach the semi-finals for the first time in almost a decade, since 2013. Been perennial quarter-finalists since when they have been in the competition, it must be said. Hurtig on the turn. He's being fouled and will come back for the set piece. Silky skills from the Swede. Lina Hurtig, whose name does literally mean faster in Swedish, and she was certainly too fast for Nadine Riesen here. Had to resort to the shirt pull to try and stop Hurtig. Well, Frida Leonardsen Mornum is off, so it will have to be somebody else over the free kick this time. Leonardsen Mornum scoring one in the first half and nearly scoring a second. Catley took one, she drove in low. This will be for Katie McCabe. He might well fancy a shot and might well fancy a first Champions League goal for Arsenal. Katie McCabe, who is somewhat known for, as some fans joke, picking up yellow cards or scoring worldies. When she does score goals, they tend to be absolutely spectacular. She got one that was one of her very best against Spurs, and that is quite a way to endear yourself to Arsenal fans. Could be Nobbs as well on the right foot. I wonder if McCabe's going to have a go here, though. Looks like it. McCabe to strike, just wide. Well, it looks like it might have taken a nick on the way through. Katie McCabe trying her luck. I mentioned her disciplinary record. Jem Beattie, one of the central entertainers in the Arsenal squad, was creating a TikTok that jokingly posed the question, who gets booked the most in the WSL? And Katie McCabe was singing along to Taylor Swift's Anti-Hero with the lyrics, "Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me." In regard to bookings, has been better on the disciplinary front this season somewhat, it must be said. Last season became such a theme that an account was literally created called "Did Katie McCabe Get a Yellow Card Today?" that even the Arsenal squad had a bit of a joke about. This season, McCabe level with Caitlin Ford for the most bookings for Arsenal across all competitions, both with 3 each. Ford round the corner, Iwabuchi has a goal! The substitute making her mark. Mana Iwabuchi has her first Arsenal goal this season. Hasn't been a regular feature on the pitch for the Gunners this season. Shows her class there. Was never going to miss. It's only her 5th appearance this season in all competitions. She has been something of a squad player. There's a reason why Viviana Miedema refers to Mana Iwabuchi as a wee baller. World Cup winner, of course, with Japan, and last season hurt her old club, Aston Villa, with a goal for Arsenal in a 4-0 victory against them. Indeed, there's some fans in that part of the world who refer to her as Manadonna. Arsenal looking for yet another. It's Ford, who has lots of time, and it's blocked. Well, it's not been the way Inka Grings would have wanted things to finish. Legend of German women's club football, the most successful goal scorer in it, with 353 goals in 271 games. Played in 2 World Cups and 2 Euros for Germany as a player, with nearly 100 caps. He's combined head coach duties here with being in charge of an academy for young strikers who could certainly do far, far worse than learning from her extensive experience. Took charge of Zürich in February 2021 and describes leading them into the group stages this season as one of her proudest achievements, as Ford shimmies inside, tries to find her way through, just about dealt with by Zürich. Last season went out in the first qualifying round against AC Milan. This season have made it into the group stage and had a fiendishly difficult task, in truth. Came into this round of fixtures one of 3 pointless teams, Vlasnia from Albania and Rosengård from Sweden, the others. Here's Hurtig. Hurtig trying to drift her way through it, falls through Iwabuchi, still with Iwabuchi, and then cleared away on the floor. Little. Raffaelli. Still Raffaelli. Hurtig. Hurtig on for Nobbs to strike. Over the bar from Jordan Nobbs, who scored one of the best goals we've seen in the Champions League group stages this season in the reverse fixture, with a guided first-time right-footed finish on the volley. That time blasted it just over. Nobbs, who certainly can chip in with goals. Got that one against Zürich, also got one against West Ham that was very valuable just a minute or so after coming on. The Arsenal social media channels covering it somewhat light-heartedly and mixing in the goal against West Ham with a clip of Nobbs saying, "Hi, I'm Jordan Nobbs, mother of blue, and here comes a strike," when she's having a bit of downtime and temping bowling with her teammates. Blue referring to her dog, she has a lot of affection for, but on the pitch, a world-class midfielder. A valuable, highly experienced member of this Arsenal side, of course, since joining from Sunderland way back, more than a decade ago in 2010 now, 12 years ago. Set-piece chance. Hubinger to take it. Cleared two Nobbs. You can get Arsenal going on the break here. Little inside for Nobbs. Just ran away from Jordan Nobbs. Now Zürich can build instead. As things stand, narrowly avoiding their biggest European defeat. One back by Hurtig. Hurtig has got lots of options. It's a 4-on-3 if Arsenal work this quickly. Good interception now, Iwabuchi. Arsenal giving their fans the best possible early Christmas present with this win after what's been a difficult time of things recently. Losing Beth Mead and Viviana Miedemar, 2 ACL injuries, meaning that 5 of the top 20 players from the Women's Ballon d'Or this year are currently nursing ACL problems. Alexia Putellas, Caterina Macario and Marie-Antoinette Katoto, the others. Miedemar using her dry Dutch humour in saying, "I can't wait to boss around Beth Mead this time. At least we've got 2 decent ACLs between us." With ex-Arsenal player Louise Quinn joking that even with just 2 ACLs between them, they'd still make a 5-a-side team. But all dark humour aside, wish them all the best in their recoveries. Does mean Arsenal will be busy in the January transfer market. That seems very clear. Hurtig. He goes down, but no foul given. Of course, those injuries were all the more pertinent given that Viviana Miedemar had just been speaking about the schedule, saying that at the moment there are players who are barely getting any vacation and it's consecutive year after year. Had a 2-week break in Australia and also used her platform to add that I hope one day we'll realise it's all too crazy right now. It's very open as well about difficulties of what is to come, saying it will be tough with plenty of difficult days, plenty of crying that I've already done already, but that's part of football. Hurtig trying the shot as we drift into stoppage time. Iwabuchi on. No foul given. Arsenal narrowly missing out on their biggest away win in Europe. Not that that will bother them at all. It was a 9-0 win at PAOK in 2009. Little. Knobs. Now Iwabuchi. This Arsenal's 17th game of the season. Jonas Eidevall was working out they could have up to 26, depending on how far they progress in competitions through the second half of the campaign. Of course, got the FA Cup and the Conti Cup, as well as WSL and the Champions League quarter-finals to look forward to. Here's Ford on the turn and on a hat-trick. Still Ford, deflected. Arsenal seeking to avoid a fourth straight trophyless season. It is notable for a club of their size. It's the longest run they've had without a trophy since their wait to win their very first one in 1992, from when they were formed in 1987. Of course, went on to win so many under Vic Akers, including this competition in 2007. Little dropping deep into the last minute of stoppage time. Can Arsenal make it the perfect 10? But they have, of course, conceded to Hum from the spot after Williamson slipped. Benawa looking for the 1-2. There's too much on that. Chembiti can clean up. BT, who has been having a bit of a joke on social media about getting Alexia Putellas' shirt. BT with the interception, and now blasted wide. BT said the most famous shirt she's got is Alexia Putellas', but she bet that Putellas had no idea who she was. With the Spanish star replying, "I absolutely know who you are. You scored in my first Champions League game and first defeat against Arsenal." BT scoring in a 3-0 away win for Arsenal, and then a hat-trick in the second leg. Arsenal have romped into the quarter-finals as group stage winners. They needed a win to make sure of it. They got a 9-1 victory, thanks to an astonishing, relentless display, started by the excellence of Frida Leonardson-Mornham, who scored a hat-trick as well as getting an assist. Stina Blackstenius broke her goal drought with 2 goals, having not scored in her previous 6. Blackstenius scoring either side of half-time. Ford scored 1 in the first and 1 in the second as well. Mana Iwabuchi and Kim Little both came on to score as well. Fabian Hum got Zürich's sole goal from the spot to just about avoid this being their record European defeat. It finishes here, Arsenal 9, Zürich 1. It means Arsenal top the group comprehensively with 13 points from 6 games. They head into the quarter-final draw on January the 20th, where the path will be mapped out to Eindhoven. They haven't been past the semi-final since 2013, quarter-finalists in 2014, 2020 and last season. Of course, had 5 seasons out of Europe between 2015 and 2019 due to not finishing in the top 2 of the WSL. But are in Europe this season and have had a brilliant group stage. When you factor in the injuries Arsenal have had this season too, they have won a group against Lyon and Juventus and had better head-to-head records than both of them. That is quite the early Christmas present for Arsenal fans, who will be heading into the new year with the club still in all 4 competitions and dreaming of winning a first trophy since 2019 when winning the WSL, and rightly dreaming of Europe's biggest prize, which of course they won in 2007. Being seeded for the quarter-final draw and having a home second leg will really help them in trying to achieve that. Those are your full-time statistics, which tell the story of a romp for Arsenal away from home. Zürich finishing their Champions League campaign pointless in the group stages, with just 2 goals, both scored against Arsenal. Thanks very much for joining us wherever you've been across the world. Remember, more action coming very shortly with Barca against Rosengård and Bayern versus Benfica in Group D. But for now, here at the Veifox Arena in Schaffhausen, it is finished. Zürich 1, Arsenal